So this work in Willenhall is really frontline, really grassroots, really looking at residents, looking at communities, how they work with each other to support and protect their health and well-being.
Often the public sector does things to communities, and I think for a while as public sector we've been thinking that we need to work differently with communities, and the ambition of the partnership is to learn how to do that.
As a system, we want to recognise how important the voluntary and community sector and community groups are and make sure that they're funded appropriately and sustained properly.
Willenhall is an area that experiences difficulties. Under the bonnet and under the cover of that, we knew we could find a lot of strength and a lot of capacity for change in people and in associations in this area.
The Willenhall Men Support Group is a group of men who come there because they feel isolated, because they need something, who also come there to give because they have something to offer.
Coming to this group has saved me in a huge way because I've been able to open up to the guys how I'm feeling, and they've listened to me. And I've always found not many people do listen, but here in these walls, in this group from 5 till 7, we're just one band who just stayed together and help guide each other in the right direction.
I had a very nasty RTA, then followed by a complete mental breakdown, and there was no support for me, and I needed that support.
So the men's support group has been a really positive thing from my experience. So many of the men who go to the group happen to be patients at my surgery, so I've known them in that capacity and seen them really flourish by taking leadership roles, by having this new community that they've got as the men's support group has been really positive. There are some amazing community initiatives happening, but often they're not seen as legitimate because in some ways they're not validated, they're not tested, but they're there. We know that they're having transformational effects on individual people's lives. But some of the really good things we've got in our community, like the Waka Waka fitness group, actually because they're not a statutory service, me referring to those doesn't get recognised. We know that really good friendships are formed there, a lot of energy, a lot more social connection that will last beyond the few weeks of a traditional weight management course, and yet sadly that wouldn't be recognised.
In order to shift power, you need to both build and strengthen community leadership.
Be a community leader is someone who brings people together, and that's what we are trying to create. Like most of them, I never knew them before, but because of this Waka Waka, I've come to know them. And there are times that I call each other just to check on how they are doing, which is really good, and it's good for our mental health. You know, some people are so isolated.
Coming here, first I made new friends, which is very important for me as a stay-at-home mom.
Usually evening I used to sleep, but we have this amazing opportunity to be here in community, and this great time you can just enjoy doing some exercise, and there's nothing more than that.
It's crucial and urgent that we prioritise working with communities, because in Coventry we have got what we call a gap in healthy life expectancy between our most deprived and our most affluent areas. So unless you understand communities, where they're coming from, what their stresses in daily life are, we have no way of reversing those inequalities and reducing them.
There's lots of people on long waiting lists to be seen, and all the time that they're not being seen by statutory services. They can become, not well, but I think that's the urgency from the person side of things. I think there's an urgency on the side of the system. We need to start to understand each other better so that we can work together, but I'm sure there's some financial imperatives, but we never really stress those either.
If you're fed up with business as usual, if you're fed up with crisis after crisis and having to deal with emergency, then make some space to come and talk to healthy communities in Coventry about how we can get upstream, how we can tackle the real causes of those emergencies. And that is about community, it's about connectedness, it's about what we can do for each other.
This isn't about the one, this is about the many, and the needs of the many will outweigh the needs of the one 1,000,000 times over.